Hey there, welcome to the latest TurtleCoin podcast. It's I Burn My CD here with our lovely Rocksteady, or one of many Rocksteadies, here to talk through a number of different updates regarding the project and hopefully some general shenanigans, so to speak, and it might even turn into a little bit of a rant session overall.
I love shenanigans. It's my favorite part of the day.
Absolutely. Shenanigans is the fun-filled time of God knows what's going to happen, right? You know, it's like when friends get together and hilarity ensues, as they say, right?
As always. So you got a bit of announcement to make this week.
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not necessarily good news, you know, but there's always ways to kind of spin some not great news, you know, into something that hopefully people can understand and appreciate. You know, we've talked a lot over the last couple of months, right, about how a lot of the project, of course, is volunteer driven, right?
Yeah, that's the basis behind why we don't offer roadmap.
Yeah, and it's always a struggle. You know, we can set some goals, we can set some timelines and kind of strive for those things, but that volunteer basis standpoint really can come back to, I don't want to say hurt you, but it can impact timelines, right? Because people have other commitments, you know, whether it's full-time jobs or school or, you know, just families that they have to, you know, I don't want to say deal with, but, you know, that often take priority over volunteer projects.
So we're pretty much almost into it. Let's just rip the Band-Aid off, so to speak. So this episode today is basically saying that the fork may be a little bit later, but it's still happening and things are still being worked on. It's just that life sometimes jumps in the way. Do you want to elaborate on that?
Sure. I was trying to soften the blow a little bit, but I appreciate you ripping off the Band-Aid, right? You know,
I've never been one to put sugar on a turd, you know?
Fair enough. But, you know, that kind of swings back around to me being a suit in my day job, right? Sugar is, you know, ingrained in the lifeblood of what I do.
This is the way of the Jedi for suits.
Absolutely. So as Rock indicated there, you know, we're running behind our hopeful schedule there for the release of V2. Ultimately, what it looks like is that we are not going to meet the timeline to get this thing launched here by block 4 million. So as of the date of this recording on August 28th, that puts us, about 30 days out would have been block 4 million? Does that sound about right? Or is it 40 days? I can't remember.
Yeah, it's between 30 and 40 days. Sorry, I forgot I wasn't holding down the microphone button. I'm over here carrying on conversations by myself.
Hey, that's okay. Sometimes those are the best conversations.
Yeah.
But anyways, it's unfortunate, you know, but we're trying to let people know at this point that, hey, look, we're going to be late. We know that we're going to be late. You know, we were on a steady course of being able to meet that timeline. However, as I kind of alluded to at the start of this conversation, oftentimes life gets in the way, you know, whether it's work related or whatnot, or especially in my case, a lot of stuff going on at work that has prevented me from being able to put in as much time as I was previously able to, you know, especially during what I used to have as free time. And I don't have a whole lot of that right now. So as a result, you know, we're not going to hit that timeline. So the first question in people's mind probably is what, Rock?
They're probably going to ask if it's still going to happen. And I'd be happy to reassure them that it's definitely still going to happen. And I definitely respect your privacy and everything. But as somebody who kind of knows the personal situation, I got to just say, I'm not that mad about it. You know, it's definitely a shitty hand that you've been dealt. And I definitely think that you're continuing it all is very noble of you. And I think that I don't think that people are going to be as angry as you might assume that they are going to be. Everybody has life gets in the way. And the fact that it's not like a rug pull, nobody's run off or anything like that. It's definitely it's reassuring that you're still around, still doing stuff, you know, despite your limited time ability.
Well, I certainly appreciate that, Rock. You know, that hits home a little bit because I have been struggling with the concept that, oh man, this is going to get late. I'm not being able to put in the time during my free time because my free time is evaporated for the most part. You know, it's hell, it was even a challenge to kind of schedule out some time for us to do this recording today, you know, and I've been kind of feeling a little bit bad about it, as you kind of can imagine, because we talked about, you know, the V2 update, back in October, November of 2020. So it's like, man, we've had a year working on this thing, and it took a while to get through some of the cryptographic concepts, which I knew was going to happen. And although we've talked about it before, that there's a lot of things that are, I almost want to say plug and play, Lego builds, there's a lot of foundation there. It's just putting all that together at this point.
It's that a lot of the hard parts and a lot of the primitives and things like that have been built, luckily. A lot of what's left is the glue and sticking it all together. So it's not like we have a bunch of different, screws and bolts and things, and now we have to create an engine. It's that we have an engine and we have a carburetor and we have a body over here, and we just need to start stitching shit together. So luckily, the amount of work that's left isn't a whole lot. Obviously, we're not going to be able to craft a gem in a week, but I think that with the amount of work that's left, and if we give it enough of a gracious time allotment, I think that things will definitely be able to come together.
Exactly.
It's a good thing that things are relatively stable in the meantime.
Oh, exactly. Like you said before, the advantage here is that, we haven't killed the V1 chain. We haven't asked people to transfer funds over or anything like that. There is no rug to pull. It's pretty much, hey, look, unfortunately, we got to continue down the V1 path just a bit longer, and swinging around to some of that timing discussion. I'm hopeful, I'm going to use that word hopeful, that we can get this thing straightened back out and back on the tracks to hopefully get a release going for V2, I'll call it Q1 of 2022. So, January, February, March, somewhere in that area here, we'll be able to nail that down more once some more time gets closer. Because personally speaking, I don't know that I'm going to see a whole lot of free time in my schedule, at least until closer to the end of the year at this point, in all honesty, when things usually start to slow down a little bit in the personal life.
Yeah, definitely don't blame you for that, man. I'm excited to see what comes out, but definitely take the time that you need to craft a quality product rather than rush out something that's just going to get blown wide open the second that it gets reviewed.
Oh, exactly. I mean, yeah, I'm sure I could put together plenty of code on airplanes over the next couple of weeks, for the next month or two, because a lot of those flights are 5-6 hours. But man, I'll tell you what, personally, I hate coding on an airplane.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it, man. It always makes me kind of sick.
Well, it's certainly better than doing Visio drawings on an airplane.
Yeah, those aren't fun in any setting.
Absolutely. So hopefully this doesn't come as a huge shock to people. I know that there's been a number of people that have been kind of chasing the bot, in Discord and kind of pinging things on Reddit and pinging things on Twitter, asking the questions like, hey, what's going on? Where's the latest updates? We haven't seen any commits to the repo in a little while. And, that's part of what, like I said, made me kind of feel bad about it. And finally, I'm like, you know what? It's going to be late. It's time to get the news out there, so I'm hoping to take a little bit of time today even to update the bot, update the Explorer, and just, kind of put I'll put a target out there so people have something to look at, or I'll just throw a note on there that says, yeah, this is delayed.
Yeah, I think people will appreciate any type of estimate. It would definitely clear up a little bit of confusion, but I think that in general, folks are going to be pretty understanding. Right now it's a very quiet time for us. Every time the price dips, just to be frank, the chat kind of empties, and it's only really the diehards that have been around since forever ago that are still in there shit posting and saying what's up. And everybody's named Rocksteady right now, so we can't really tell who's who, but it's a lot of familiar faces around there. So it's I don't think it's as big of a deal as we probably might think it is. And even though TurtleCoin may mean the world to us, may be the entirety of our world sometimes, I don't think other people are necessarily as focused on it. It's probably going to be a problem for some people, but I doubt that the majority of the people are going to be angry about it because they've seen what you've done so far and they see what you've got planned. So it's not like, you're just scooting out of the door and deleting your Discord account.
Certainly not. And, I was kind of laughing in the background there while you were talking, not anything necessarily that you said, other than the fact that you said that everybody's named Rocksteady in the Discord. And, a lot of people have been around for a while, and it just kind of made me laugh because there's one user, I'm going to call him out for this, that's not named Rocksteady right now because he comes and goes as the wind blows. You know who I'm talking about.
Is it 40% Rocksteady?
It's 60% Rocksteady.
60% Rocksteady.
Yeah, I'm sticking with the 60% because I think that it's funny. Yeah, we'll kind of leave that out there for our listeners to kind of pop into the Discord and take a peek and see who that 60% Rocksteady is, and give it a little laugh. If you see him, give him a little rib jab.
Definitely point and laugh. Make fun of his his accent. Ask him why he hasn't been on the podcast yet.
Yeah, we keep begging him to come on here because I'll be honest, he's got a lot of good ideas. It'd be great though if he got him past the 60% watermark though.
Oh man, one of these days he's going to find out where we live.
I got a pretty good feeling that in all honesty, he probably knows at least where I live, only because it's, I've always been very transparent about who I am, right? And it doesn't take much to do a quick search and find me, so.
So what would you do if somebody just like popped up for tea, like, so I heard this release is going to be late, and they just have like a MacBook under their arm or something like that? How would that play out?
Wow, a MacBook. That would be a MacBook. Is this a throwback to the discussion the other day about joking about the JavaScript devs?
With their swoopy hair and trendy jeans.
So, yeah, in all honesty, they're going to take that to heart. If somebody did come knocking on my door and said, hey, dude, why is it late? What, or, kind of framed up that discussion. I mean, obviously the discussion changes on whether or not they're arriving with their hands on their hips, right? Or if they're arriving of the mindset like, man, I'm here to help. What can I do? And if they're along the lines of, I want to help, what can I do? It's kind of like, dude, you should have just pinged me on Discord. You didn't have to come all this way.
But what if it's somebody like Seijo that you know?
I'd ask him if his mom knows that he left the house.
What if the only stipulation is that he writes his portion in Python?
I'd probably sick the dogs on him. I mean, that's just being honest. I mean, that's probably the flip side, not to talk too much about the personal stuff on here, but man, I've got a couple of dogs, and one of them is a Great Dane, and the wife keeps begging me to possibly get another Great Dane, and she is what I call the house alarm at this point, and it's a big woof, and she may be the most lovable creature in the world, but she does like jumping, and it's 150 pounds coming right at you.
That's crazy. I can't even imagine what it's like, that type of dog that size.
It's intense. Let's put it that way. But we love her.
Does it ever try to sit in your lap?
All the time. All the time. You sit on the couch, you sit on the bed, no matter what it is. She climbs right up in there and tries to cuddle in close because, of course, a lot of our other animals are rather small. The other two dogs that we've got, I know we're kind of going clear off topic here,
I think this is an elaborate segue that your dog ate your laptop and that's why V2 is late.
No. Hasn't eaten the laptop, but maybe it's a segue to get around to the fact that I think the dog ate the contest wallet.
That's another funny one. How much did that cost, by the way?
That would be 1 million turtle were in that contest wallet, and
what's that worth right now?
I have no idea, but it was 1 million turtle. The sheet was on my desk, and then it wasn't.
All right. Well, I tell you what. So we're gonna have to rock paper scissors on who gets to go back and listen to the old episodes to reconstruct those words in the next seed phrase. But rest assured, I'll go ahead and replace the 1 million turtle in the wallet.
Oh, that's not a big deal, but I've got another million sitting aside, that has been collected from node fees, So that's the least of my concerns. It's more of an oh shit moment because as much as I've preached to people over the last couple of years, back up your keys, save them somewhere, print them off, stick them in a coffee can. Here I am. My dog ate the contest wallet.
And this is the last time that you hold down a paper wallet with a can of Alpo.
Yeah, I never would have guessed that she would have taken it off the desk. But then again, over the last couple of weeks, I've seen some other things kind of come up missing, and I don't know if she's taken them. I haven't found them in any piles in the backyard, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, I've seen a German Shepherd crap out an entire pair of boxers before. I totally believe it.
An entire pair of boxers. Were they still wearable?
Still intact. Still intact. Slightly more skid marks.
Slightly more skid marks. I love it.
Yeah. So I tell you what. Let's. I got an idea while we were talking about this, and since I've got 1 million, you've got 1 million. Let's just let's make it 2 million, just for the people that are still diehard, sticking around and waiting for V2, just to kind of sweeten up the deal for them.
I like that idea. That could probably go a long way with people. I mean, and it also keeps people listening because I do like doing these podcasts, and I think you do too. It kind of gets things moving a little bit, and it's definitely interesting. So
fun.
I'm all for it.
Look, there's nothing I love more than to spend 2 hours troubleshooting why the hell I got a yellow light blinking on the front of this mic. That's nothing I love more. I used to do that all the time before I would make long distance phone calls in the 80s. Debug trunk for 2 hours first.
You could probably fix that problem pretty quickly.
Man, I have a feeling that I know what the solution is that you're going to tell me is just install Windows. And it's not the fact that you're telling me to install Windows that makes me wince the most. Instead, I've tried it in Windows and this mic works perfect.
Oh, so you already know.
Yeah, man, it's an extra kick in the nuts. Like I'm encountering a lot of resistance lately in my Linux installs. I'm about to just go full OpenBSD and go live in the woods.
The alternative is I might have a spare Mac I can send you.
Look, I'm gonna assume that wasn't some type of insult, an attack on my masculinity.
It may have been. I'm not sure. That's kind of one of those eye of the beholder statements.
Let me let this cat out. She's about to eat the microphone.
And that's why there's a yellow light, ladies and gentlemen.
All right, I'm back. That was about to get ugly.
That's fine. That's fine. I'm waiting for the point where the dogs start kicking down my door as well, because they've started doing that during my conference calls for work.
That's always fun. So now that we're kind of waiting a little bit on V2, what do we have to podcast about? We're gonna have to come up with something cool. We have to start a band or something, or start covering true crime.
Oh Jesus, not true crime. I can't do that. My wife listens to that stuff constantly.
I do too, man. It's really good.
See, me, I'm more of a listening to music while I try to work more than anything, because I can't get into the storylines. I just need something. It's probably ADHD or something like that on my part.
Are you one of those guys that listens to that doom 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 doom?
No, unfortunately, I'm not like Z-Palm. However,
whenever I envision him mentally, you know who he is in my mind?
No idea.
JP from Grandma's Boy.
Oh,
have you seen that one?
I have. It's been a while, but I don't know, because you got to remember, I've met Z in person.
Oh yeah, that's right. Does he smell like the Queen?
I don't usually get close enough to people that I can smell them, and if I can smell them at the distance that I'm at, it's usually offensive.
It was pre-COVID. Opportunity wasted.
Yeah, but you're making it out like I kind of walked up behind him and sniffed his hair or something like that. I'm not Thexra, dude. Okay.
Oh shit! Shots fired.
But no, in all honesty, we can still talk about crypto. We can still talk about development. I mean, I know that there's a number of projects that are probably near and dear to our hearts. That even with the limited time that I have, to work on things here and there, I'm still keeping an eye on a couple of different things. I mean, I know that you're going down the road of developing a project, right?
Yeah, definitely. So I've been building a podcast hosting platform since whenever we were first starting the TurtleCoin podcast. At first I was like, oh man, I need to go and get us a whatever account, at one of these podcast hosts, because I definitely didn't think that GitHub, after all the shenanigans we've pulled, I don't think that they would allow us to host MP3s plus a feed from one of their static pages. So I was looking at all these hosts, and a lot of them were pretty expensive. Some of them had arbitrary things that they were charging for, and I just didn't want to worry about any of that. So like all misguided developers, I just started building my own platform. And shortly after that, I ended up getting myself kind of in a situation where I had a lot more time on the computer than anticipated, and I ended up just plowing through and finishing the project, and now it's pretty much ready to launch. So pretty soon you'll be having our podcast delivered to you through the servers of this new service instead of IPFS, or it might still go through IPFS. I'm not quite sure yet, but I don't want to announce too much. We'll probably save that for an episode down the line, but it's just pretty exciting to see that happen.
Oh, for sure. It's been fun watching you kind of build things out, giving a lot of thought to that. I know that you've had some conversations or exchanged some messages, at least, with some public Hacker News, if I recall correctly. You posted a couple of times on there and people interacted with you. And I think you interacted with even some of the podcast RSS spec guys for the V2 podcast stuff, didn't you?
Yep. They've definitely been very welcoming. The guys in the podcasting 2.0 community, everybody's been very helpful. And sometimes I have to remind myself that, like for example, I message another service, and I just had like a general industry question. And I guess the open source community and the Fediverse community has me a little bit too spoiled, because I just kind of reached out, matter of fact, asked him like, "Hey, do you have a contact at so and so?" And the guy was basically like, "Pound bricks, young man." And I guess I couldn't really be too surprised at his response, but like I get it. And he specifically said, he was like, "Yeah, said something like, yeah, that wouldn't be in my best interest. You're a competitor. Why would we do that?" And I in that moment I was kind of like, wait, competitor, and like I felt slighted, and then I was like, yeah, competitor, and then I was really motivated by it. So I respect his decision in not helping me, and I get that. But I think sometimes I have to separate the context of the open source community and how interactions with that typically go, and the rest of the for-profit community. So it's going to be fun to see how this goes.
So what you're saying, if I heard you correctly, is that sometimes you got to put on a suit.
Yeah, and it's not going to be fun, man. I'm starting with socks. Today I put on socks, and the rest is to be determined.
Was it just socks? I mean, inquiring minds need to know.
No, I got the rest of my jammies. It's just, the socks is the formal part of that.
Fair enough. Next, you're going to have tie shoes that require polish. I can see it.
I want to get some of those little loafers where you put the pennies in the front of them.
That might be a throwback. I think a lot of kids today have no idea about putting pennies inside of loafers.
I used to have those back in the day.
Oh, I know. I had a couple of pairs, growing up, and it was always the thing. You had to put the penny in the loafer.
Yeah, I think a lot of people miss that critical aspect. It's like pumping your sneakers.
Exactly. I mean, that's why they called them penny loafers.
Yep.
Oh, man.
It's too bad there isn't an actual physical TurtleCoin. I'd put one in there instead of the penny.
Wow. It's funny that you mentioned that, because I know that we've actually kicked around the idea a couple of times of getting some physical coins minted, through there's a lot of parties out there that will do that. Will do custom.
There's this one guy. I'd like to give a shout out to this one guy, Physical Crypto Coins. That guy's been really nice, very helpful. He runs his own little, I guess you'd call it his own mint. You just send him the vector files and kind of describe what you want, and he could put it together, and it was a pretty decent price.
I might have to take a look at that again, because that would
one
be
of these days we might have to check it out. I can talk to you more about it off air, but I'm not sure. I know roughly what the prices were. I can tell you off the air, but I know that part of the deal is if you can get like part of a shipment, or you can get the whole shipment. If you get part of the shipment, he sells the other part of it on the website. So I think that's where the stopping point was, because I wanted to get some just for the developer team, the core developer team, and at that point, like, core group of us was only like, I don't know, 10 or less. And so though there were like 80 different core contributors, I think the full shipment was somewhere between that 80 and 10 number. And I remember thinking like, if I buy the whole shipment, it's going to be comparatively a lot, and I'm going to have a lot of these extra, developer tokens left over. And then if I only get part of them, then it definitely satisfies, the requirement that everybody on the team get one. But then there's going to be this for sale token on the store that's going to be basically like a commemorative developer, and I think it was like 2020 or 2019 coin. So that's kind of where the stopping point was, and I can't remember what got me distracted, but I just kind of put it down since then.
Yep, that makes sense. I know I've looked at that and challenge coins and stuff like that a couple of times over the last couple of years, because I thought it would be cool, kind of like that respect, like you said, that there's these limited edition physical turtle coins is basically what it boiled down to, right?
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it wouldn't have like any keys embedded in it, though that would be really cool to have like a Cassacious coin type deal, but for turtle. But where I was approaching it from at the time was just some type of commemorative item, like a challenge coin, like you say, for the core members who were meeting up every day and kind of pushing things along at the time.
Definitely be cool. It's something that I think I'd be willing to pick pick that up again and take a look at that.
Yeah, same. I think the options are pretty cool too. Like you can have negative space in the coins where part of it's cut out. So if we wanted the shield shell to be actually cut out from the coin itself, we could do that.
Cool. Well, we'll certainly take that conversation off air, and maybe at some point in the future on one of the podcasts, we'll be announcing a physical turtle coin as a commemorative item.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool, man.
It'd be really cool if we labeled them all V1, and then it would be limited edition release and never to be seen again.
Yeah, and also
like
you could, the roadblock that I kept running into was like, I wonder if I could order some type of like lottery scratch off stickers or something like that, where there's a one-time scratch off code that you scratch it off and it reveals the seed phrase beneath it. And I couldn't figure out how that would work necessarily, because I was trying to find out a way for me to be able to like give away some turtles. So like once I get a notification from USPS or whatever that says, hey, this has been delivered successfully, then I can go ahead and send a transfer to it, like as a thanks, like thanks for supporting us or whatever, and just kind of throw something on there. That way they could be like, yo, somebody from the core team sent me some turtle personally one time or something like that.
That would be interesting.
It'd be a nice surprise. Like,
for sure. And if we did something like that, I think that would probably be better off waiting for V2, when that comes, because locking up some V1s in a challenge coin at this point, just kind of putting a timeline rough around it, right, would be that would be interesting.
Yeah. I think people would find that to be pretty cool. It's kind of like, buying a DVD of that movie E.T. and then you open it up and it's a note from Steven Spielberg and they're like, hey, thanks for buying this. For sure.
I like it.
So given that your time obligations and things like that have changed up somewhat, are there any aspects of, and this isn't me like asking a question because I was led in that direction. It's just being curious. Has that changed any of your ambitions at all for things that you want to accomplish in V2?
Honestly, I really want to answer that question well. Let's put it that way. A part of what I guess is kind of come to fruition over the last couple of months, in all honesty, is that there's been some work done on making multi-sig and triptych easier. I don't know if you've seen some of those papers and stuff like that have come out. I think there's been one or two. I've actually seen them come out of some people in the Monero Research Lab. They've been working on that problem because, of course, they'd like to be able to implement triptych, or they're going after another structure as well, another signing structure, a way to kind of manage some of that stuff. But they've actually been working on that, and there has been some research done to try to make those constructions easier and solve for some of those problems that I briefly mentioned before, that multi-sig, that there was this math problem in triptych that made multi-sig very difficult to do. Wasn't impossible, but difficult. So they've been making some headways on that. Now, in some of our prior conversations as well, and even some of our discussions in some of the chat and whatnot, part of the reason why I had actually pulled back from triptych in the V2 code to use CL-SAG instead was so we could maintain multi-sig transactions. So with that work that's kind of coming into play with triptych to solve some of those multi-sig aspects, I'm actually kind of happy in some regards that I've ran into a delay, because it may enable us to launch V2 with triptych, with multi-sig support, and further reduce the size of the transactions. At least, in an uncommitted state. We've talked through some of that stuff before, which is going to be massive for us, because CL-SAG at the ring sizes that we're talking about, it's smaller than our current Boromir ring signatures, but the CL-SAG stuff is just massive, regardless at those ring sizes. So if we're able to use triptych, we're able to do multi-sig, it's going to make transactions even faster on the network than what I thought we were going to get with the CL-SAG side of things. So that's probably the biggest takeaway from that, that I've taken a second to kind of sit back and go, in some ways this is a good thing. It's made me kind of reevaluate that. There's a couple of other small things here and there that have given me some pause and thought about things a little bit differently, but not enough that it really changes the core of what we're trying to do. It really comes down to some of the finer implementation details that would be akin to using blue cabling instead of red or gray or white, if you follow what I'm saying.
I smell what you're stepping in. Let me see if I could break this down for some people out there, because we just kind of opened up several different flavors cans of worms here. I had to
Go
pop a
for
dip
it.
in my lip real quick before I jump on this. All right, so whenever we talk about multi-sig is something that's pretty important to V2. But in short, the way it works is whenever you're watching a movie and you see they got these guys and they're in like a nuclear missile silo and they're trying to launch the missile, but they need a guy on one side of the door and a guy on the other side of the door, and they have to be turning a key at exactly the same time to be able to launch this missile or open the door or whatever it is they're trying to do. Multisig works kind of like that, in that it takes several different people in a group, or a majority of the people in a group, or a certain number of the people in the group to sign a transaction at the same time for a transaction to be created from a certain wallet. Am I kind of on the right path here?
Yeah, I'd say that's fair, and
right,
it's not ultimately, created, but, well, it is partially created, but it's also signing that transaction, for lack of better words.
Right. So along the way with these signatures, as you know, TurtleCoin has anonymity, meaning you don't know who sent you money. You don't necessarily know, looking at just at the blockchain, who sent how much to who. You just have an idea that somebody sent X amount to somebody else, and that's kind of the extent of it. So the way that happens is you have these signatures that are arranged in such a way that they're anonymous. So whenever we talk about triptych, whenever we talk about CL-SAG, let me see if I could take a stab at this here. CL-SAG is compact, linkable, spontaneous anonymity groups, right?
Yes, if I remember.
I didn't even have that one pulled up in front of me, man.
Yeah, honestly, I can't remember if it's compact or concise. I'd have to pull the paperwork on it, but it's the same type of idea.
Yeah, so basically CL-SAG and triptych differ from the way we currently do things, in that whenever we generate these signatures, and the signature is like a cryptographic way of saying, yes, this is true. And those signatures are really big in our current version. And that makes the size of the blockchain, the amount of time that you have to spend syncing, speed of the transactions, that type of stuff. It takes long, it's bigger. It's like you go to buy a loaf of bread from Amazon and it comes in a refrigerator box. It's like that type of deal. So by moving to this newer technology, it's going to be a lot more compact. It's going to have a lot more anonymity features to it. It's basically the same concept. However, given that we're saving so much space, we're able to then increase the amount of anonymity going on by increasing the parties that are involved in the signature process, so that there's less likelihood of any single signer being identified. And so that has a lot of consequences, like our transactions will be faster to process, they'll be smaller on the blockchain, you'll have less time to sync. All of these things are great quality of life improvements from where we are now. So I hope that I've cleared that up for a little bit of everybody who just kind of listened to that whole explanation and was like, what is all these words? Are these even words?
Well, they are most certainly words. It's just whether or not they make sense, because sometimes we assemble words together and they don't.
Yeah, you never know, man. You science types just kind of say whatever sometimes.
I prefer suit-ease, sir.
Suities.
I could probably put together a marketing slick around this pretty quickly.
Yeah, but in general, CL-SAG and triptych and things of that type are going to be a vast improvement from where we are now. And it's definitely not a lot of things that you guys have to understand. You don't know how, you don't have to know how to use it. It's kind of like all the crazy stuff that they put in the gasoline that makes your car run better and cleaner and that type of stuff. You don't necessarily know about it, but they tell you about it because they're proud of it. And you just use it anyway. And you just notice that it's a little bit better.
Exactly. And those that do want to drive down into it, no pun intended, can certainly, dig into some of the mathematical papers, whatnot, and the actual proofs kind of behind it to understand how it all works. But yeah, it's a significant difference, making that step over to triptych to further reduce those transactions. So like I said, I'm actually thankful in some regards that I've ran into some timing and delay issues to allow some of that stuff to kind of work out, because I was trying to work through it and it got to a point where I was like, okay, great, just kind of shove this over here for later because I need to focus more on the core software than the primitives. So yeah, I'm very happy that that somebody's actually making progress on those primitives.
Yeah, I definitely can't say enough that those Monero guys are really putting in work as far as like breaking new ground and kind of looking at concepts in a different way. I definitely appreciate them for that.
Absolutely.
So what else we got on the agenda? So how long do you think it's going to take to generate, given a known, I don't know how many factors we have so far, how long do you think it's going to be able, or how long do you think it's going to take to generate another wallet seed that forms to that?
So the funny part about that is that I know that you're talking about the missing wallet that the dog ate, right, with the contest funds that we'll replace. But it actually won't take that long because every wallet word, you can assemble, you can throw together the wallet words. All I've got to do is literally pick or generate another wallet and drop those words that were previously used into those positions. What's that?
And then you're going to restore from that seed, and it's going to got it. Okay.
Yep. I just got to recalculate the checksum word, that 25th word, based upon the new set of words, right? So then at that point we've got a new wallet and we can drop the funds in there.
God damn, you're smart, man.
Well, there's a reason that they call me I burned my CD.
Why is that? What'd you do with the zip disk guy?
I was smarter than him. I was able to fit more data in a little space.
Did you consume his soul to ingest his power?
Yeah, kind of like in The Mummy with Tom Cruise.
I have a theory that guy's not even a real person.
Well, it could be an Ewok in disguise.
We're going to find out that he was created by NVIDIA.
Now, I'm pretty sure that he believes that he was spewed out of a volcano or something like that, right? After he was injected in there by aliens?
He has to come from somewhere, man. Who the hell has a middle tooth? Have you ever seen that shit? What the fuck?
No, that's
he has a middle
different.
Tooth. That's not even real. Who has a middle tooth? Seriously, who? Nobody.
I know people with one singular tooth in the front.
Yeah, Papaw doesn't count.
I think Papaw would disagree. So aside from that stuff, what else have you been working on, Rock? I know that we mentioned your little podcast side thing, but I know you've always got a couple of different things in the oven. Anything else going on that people may find interesting?
Rock Wallet is something that I've been toying with in the meantime, but a lot of that is going to hinge on knowing about API details, knowing about, seeing what I need to do with regards to transaction construction whenever that firms up a little bit and kind of go from there. But currently, a lot of the things that I'm able to mess with now are interface, and I've been writing it in Go so far. It's a pretty fun language. It's pretty similar to C. It's like C written in crayon is what I tell people. But so in using that, there's not a lot of like well-worn paths to creating a GUI. So I've been doing a lot of it in Terminal, and a lot of people that have used Zed Wallet before are going to be pleased that it's fairly similar. But the cool thing is that there's a lot of libraries for Go that allow you to do stuff in the terminal that make it more like an NCurse environment. So if you guys have ever opened up like an old Linux distribution, how it's kind of like a text-based interface, but you can still like choose things in a menu and it still kind of like looks like an interface just written in text. It would be kind of like that. So I have no doubts that there's going to be cool graphical wallets and things like that that'll surpass it. And it does still have like a web front end that I was working on. But I think it'll be kind of cool to use something in the terminal. And if you want to, you can launch it with the web front end and it'll all be similar. But I look forward to seeing a little bit more about how transaction construction works, and then I can probably put out something that you can tinker around with and break. Tell me my shit sucks.
Well, I get some good news there then, because technically it's possible to look at the code that's out there today and see how at least some of the constructions are done. But
nice.
It's not dummy proof, don't get me wrong, and it's probably not 100% easy, but it's not horrible. At some point, I'll be able to get in there and kind of document that process. You may recall that I kind of documented, at least in the wallet construction process, like how seeds are derived, how seeds are generated, how the actual addresses are generated from those seeds. I kind of documented that as a README in the wallet folder in the V2 code. I hope to fill more of those directories with additional README, so it's almost like self-documenting beyond what we find in the the code itself.
That's kind of like the holy grail in anything we write, is to have it be self-documenting, isn't it?
Absolutely, absolutely. Gone are the times when the code is confusing and a clusterfuck mess.
Yeah. Well, man, hopefully it works out. I think that about covers it for today. We had a pretty good episode there.
For sure. I mean, it's definitely one of the shorter ones, but we wanted to keep it relatively short and sweet, mostly so that people can go grab their sound clips and then piss us off later with them. But you know how that goes.
Dude, I gotta hand it to you. I thought that this episode was going to be a lot harder to film, to record. But as we got further into the episode and the more I thought about it, I don't think people are going to be too mad about it. I think they understand that in order to provide a good product, we kind of have to be in the correct headspace to be able to do that. And life does jump in the way sometimes. And if people were super concerned that a small minority of people are writing the software, then probably they would have chipped in by now to help out code-wise. So I don't think it'll be too big of a deal. I'm sure it would be like a huge deal if the price were really high right now, but that's never necessarily changed anything that we've done before. So I don't see that being too big of an issue, and I don't think too many people are even paying attention right now to worry about it. So hopefully they'll be able to be patient for a few more intervals to see how it goes.
Agreed. Sounds good. And yeah, I agree. I think the episode turned out well as well. So
we ought to do these more often, man. And I look forward to doing an episode on the new platform whenever that gets closer to launch. And hopefully some of you guys out there listening will be down to test it.
Absolutely. And just a reminder for those as we wrap up the episode, if you go grab the V2 code now, you can compile it and you can still help test the peer-to-peer net, because that code is still live and those systems are still live.
Definitely very much needs testing.
Exactly. So it's not all for nil, for sure. And
I'm not trying to imply that anything is wrong with it. Just trying to say that a P2P network needs nodes on the network for it to function and for us to find some of these edge cases. It's not something that we can test in isolation. And the more computers that are on it, running it, the better we're going to be able to find any issues if they exist.
Exactly. I know that there's tons of nodes on there now. And when I say tons, thanks to a generous user who's running them in a K8s cluster, right? There's quite a few in there, but so far so good. Haven't received any bug reports from people in the last month and a half or so. So I think we're in pretty good shape there. But by all means, let's run it on some more systems, everybody. Spin that up, see what it does. But until our next recording, I think we're good for today.
All right, see you guys next time. Y'all take care.